was there a budget on this? Did you all get paid, or this was something you did because you just really wanted to do it?
Well, right. I mean, it was a very fun and exciting project to be part of, and for me, it was a huge learning experience because, and I think it was for all of us because we were really in uncharted territory at this point. We're like, okay, let's see what this is and how does it sustain itself. And there were all sorts of different potential models of monetization, and try this, do that, whatever it was, and went through many different phases of that. And so yeah, it was all done for the passion and the love and the learning experience of that. And along the way, we all learned, along with Hayden, I think, what works, what doesn't, and how to really drive a web audience.
Now, you and Angela went on from there, and did
Right.
you think?
So what happened is that Angela and I we had a great simpatico when it came to Goodnight Burbank, and Hayden would write a lot of scenes for us, and he created this relationship for us, and we just discovered really early on that we definitely spoke the same language.
Can I tell you where I think that was most evident? You two did, as Pilar and Cynthia, an interview where you talked about being like the Beatles, but argued about which one got to be Paul.
Who was Paul and who was John?
Yes. Which
Right,
is a
exactly.
wonderful little bit.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and that was those women. It was their relationship. Right. So we shot, and I don't know if they're up anymore, but pre-groupthink, right before groupthink, Goodnight Burbank got a deal. Oh, a spin-off series. It was called Goodnight Burbank, The Hollywood Report. I don't know if you had ever seen those, but they were funded by a company called Bubblegum.
Yes.
We shot them at this Disney subsidiary, I believe, studio called Digicend in Burbank. It was very different from the rest of the work that we did. We shot 20 episodes in no time at all. It was super intense. And those were the last Goodnight Burbanks that we shot. From there, Angela and I had already come up with the idea of Goodnight Burbank. We might have already shot a sizzle or maybe even our first episode. But at any point, it was born out of improv. We had this idea for these two best friends who hated each other as much as they love each other, and very typical female relationship kind of snafus that happen, and two best friends who are kind of misfits in very different ways. And so Goodnight Burbank was born, and we shot that right after the Hollywood Report. We shot the first episode, and then we would also shoot 3 episodes at a time. And then we had these things called groupthink glimpses, which were like these little mini snippets as well.
Okay. Now, you guys, as your groupthink characters, were in an episode of season 4 of Temp Life.
Yes, yeah.
They got mixed up.
That's right.
How did you hook up with Cleveland and those people for that?
So I believe we met Wilson. Angela and I met Wilson at one of the award ceremonies. And he was fantastic, and he knew Goodnight Burbank, and he had seen, I think, our first episode of Groupthink, and he became a fan. And he was a huge advocate for us, and he helped us quite a bit in the beginning, gaining traction. And Wilson was based out of New York, but he came to LA quarterly at least, and we would meet with him and chat with him. And so we just decided that in some capacity we wanted to collaborate with him. And in fact, we were going to write Wilson into the show. We had a character for him, which never actually came to fruition, but we loved what Wilson was doing. So he wanted Pilar, and he thought it would be hilarious for Pilar and Cynthia to be pitching themselves in the Temp Life. So that's how that was born.